Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I'm going live about now. We're actually going to be starting out with some big mark action today. Hope audio and video quality is all right. I don't know why, but OBS has been really acting up. Thankfully, always before the streams, not actually during, so let's hope we are going to be fine. I actually am a little bit better prepared today, so I have some case comparisons. Thankfully, I still have the clear case for my old iPhone 13 Pro Max, so that way my iPhone 15 Pro Max can stay in its case while it's still recording. And of course, we do have more to react to, which, yes, I did order the ESR Clear Case. It's interesting, the branding is hybrid magnetic case, and it's apparently like they also have like colorful clear cases, which is actually quite a cool idea. I think Apple probably should have done that. So ESR, if you want to sponsor me after I like this, or hopefully I like this, I'm open to that, of course. That being said, thank you guys so much. We've been on a decent streak recently. I am trying to put myself back in into the actual thumbnails, because the last video to actually hit over 1,000 views did that. So plus it was also an unboxing video, so we are unboxing and comparing today. However, as hard as I tried, I did not actually find my old fine woven case. That's the one that I actually unboxed originally on this channel, actually durability tested on this channel for you guys. I already see Riley in the chat, KSB Wonders, FRKM, and Hardworking, all saying highs. Hi to you guys. Thank you so much for joining. You guys have been tremendous recently. I also left the link in the Discord, the link for the Discord in the live chat. Hopefully that helps guys who are new, guys and gals, we also have some gals, who find these streams, who enjoy them, to join our community. This is where we talk a lot about the even nerdier stuff like hardcore chip talk discussions, me and Jimmy finding new benchmark results, comparing them. Some of them I'll present in a more like polished version in the stream, so hopefully you're enjoying it. KSB asking, did I return the tech woven case? And now you're saying never mind. No, I'm actually keeping it. I don't know if that came across in my actual unboxing. Now, I have to admit, the actual texture is unfamiliar to me, right? And I say that without really any positive or negative connotation about it. It's just not something I'm used to. And honestly, though, I think the only risk that I would have with it is it being slippery. I mean, when you remember my fine woven unboxing, if you remember my fine woven unboxing, you will see that like it literally got dirty from water on it. This was not the case. Fine woven scratched easily. This one did not. Now, will that replace a premium like leather case? No, most likely not, especially if you're used to it, if you like the smell and everything. I fully understand that. But no, I've actually really liked that. And then for everyone who doesn't know, my go-to cases, this was actually a little bit of an exception because I prefer usually the ones that are free down here, so the ones that are lighter, therefore more comfortable. But I don't know, it's actually a little bit paranoid. When I got my 15 Pro Max, I kind of really didn't want to scratch it, even though titanium should be better in that regard than my stainless steel 13 Pro Max before it. So this is the company that I really like, and this is the company I would 100% take a sponsorship from. Pitaka, it's a German company making aramide fiber cases, basically a little bit like what you find in the Bulletproof Vest, and I love the feel of it. It's very lightweight for how durable this thing is, and there are more lightweight, even thinner, and yes, with just a little bit less material cases. So I'm not sure if my tech woven case is going to become my new iPhone 17 Pro Max case. We are going to get to unboxing the ESR case. This is 1/3 the price of the Apple Clear Case, and it looks 1 billion times better, and it actually has extra utility by having this little kickstand that's actually covering the camera plateau. Now, one thing I actually missed was that the camera plateau plateau is unfortunately covered. I would have preferred it to be fully free just so it can better dissipate heat to the outside. However, it's not going to be a big difference to most people. Hardworking asking, how are you, brother? I'm doing quite well. I'm really busy throughout most of the day, but my evenings are actually quite free for this weekend next week. So I'll hope to be providing you some good content during it. And then in October, I'll be taking a little bit of a, not full on hiatus, but maybe reducing my stream schedule. And then hopefully I'll be back by like early November to very regular streams. KSB, I thought the tech woven case will have more friction. Yeah, that's true. It definitely is not a very frictiony case. It's definitely a very, like you would think, right? And this is something that the camera might not pick up too well. Like you might think that this material is super smooth, but when I actually put it right here, oh, my iPhone is actually really good at focusing here, you'll find that it actually has a very clearly defined texture, and that texture, while you feel it, is not actually grippy. So even like something like my DualSense PS5 controller, right? You'll find that it has like these little bumps and ridges all across it. And these are like little PlayStation symbols, like little circles and squares and crosses and everything like that. And that one makes it grippy. This texture, even though you can arguably see it better than those little bumps on my DualSense, is not as grippy. But I am coming from cases like these, which have no texture whatsoever. So take it as you want. I'm not really a drop guy, even though it looked like that when I was using the tech woven case for the first time. So it might actually be the grippiest case I get in like quite some time. So yeah, and to be honest, most premium leather cases are quite smooth. Like they do have a texture, especially once they create like this patina effect on top of them, like once they age. It's not something you really even see, but you definitely feel it. But it's not the most grippiest material either. KSB, I bought the J-Tech orange case for my Orange Pro Max for $10. Yeah, there's some really, like, I honestly was surprised by some of the prices. I'm not sure if these companies might just be super aggressive right now, especially here in the European Union. Maybe like because they're importing obviously from China. Maybe like in the United States, because of like 30% tariffs, they have a hard time selling it. So it's better for them to just sell it in Europe right now. Plus in Europe right now, the euro is actually quite strong. So maybe for them $20, or in this case $17, is actually quite a lot, quite worth a lot of money. Hardworking, you're saying goodbye. Sad to lose you, but hey, thank you to anyone who joins. Thank you to anyone who watches live. Thank you to anyone who catches afterwards. Guys, before we get into the actual unboxing, last shout out, or first shout out, honestly, for you to do the YouTube jazz, subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. You guys know I love interacting with a lively live stream, getting your opinions, your agreements, your disagreements, getting your suggestions for future topics or even for topics for today and things like that. So that helps. I also left a small super chat goal. If you feel like supporting me, just one super chat per stream already helps get up my mood, helps me just make these streams more regular. So if you find that in yourself, you can also become a supporter of this channel by becoming a channel member. Shout out to Angelica, Steve, Max, Maximus, and Jonathan, our Mark Check Pro Max supporters right here on YouTube. And you can also support us over on Patreon. I've actually changed some stuff over on Patreon. There's no longer gonna be a visible free tier on Patreon. And that's not because I want to take away the free tier on Patreon. There were no perks associated with it anyway. But I am encouraging people to just move to the Discord. If you want a good free way to interact with me, and even more importantly, to interact with the broader community we're building, I think that the more important thing for you to do is to join the Discord rather than to subscribe to the free version of Patreon. However, just watching these streams, leaving a like, all of that helps tremendously. Seems like the algorithm is slowly back to remembering about my existence, and I will try to satisfy your demand for content however well I can. Well, without further ado, then, I've actually cut this open already. Doesn't look okay. Thank God. I thought maybe I had left my address on this, but this actually came in a box. So let's unbox this. It's not as nice of an unboxing experience. I already feel like the paper like breaking under my thick fingers. No, I did not do this on purpose to make this look cheaper than Apple's unboxing. I will gladly take a paper case that like is really easy to hurt in a way for 17 bucks. It's 20 bucks MSRP here in Germany, versus $70. Yes, you heard correct. This is $53 more expensive, given that this on Amazon had like a 3% voucher that was like instant, like it had nothing to do with my account. It was just associated by this. Plus, also shout out to ESR. I actually bought their anti-reflective glass cover screens for the 17 Pro Max. These ones specifically made by Corning. So this is not the same tech that is usually used. It's supposedly just like durable 9H, right? So basically right under Sapphire and things like that. We have Rosa joining the chat. Hello to you. Thank you guys so much. The last few streams have been so lively, have been so interactive. That helps me. I hope they become more enjoyable to you because of that. So yeah, let's see. Beyond all that, let's just continue. Yeah, there's nothing shocking in here, just a clear case, I guess. There is like an instruction pamphlet that is incredibly tiny that shows you how to use that little stand. And then there is the acrylic plastic clear case. And it's, I mean, it's more clear than Apple's 13 Pro Max clear case after years. Tharo is saying, why iPhone 17 Pro Max unavailable? Well, for one, it's not supposed to go onto sale before like before Friday. If you mean why is it sold out on the website, well, that's because the demand is actually quite strong. I mean, even during an interview, that was actually quite funny. Tim Cook was like asked like about the iPhone 17 generation, and he said like the iPhone 16 was quite good and everything, right? But the 17, now that's a must-have, right? I know he would probably always say that every year or something like that, but I actually quite agree in that regard. You obviously see that I didn't upgrade from my 15 Pro Max to a 16 Pro Max, but I am upgrading to a 17 Pro Max. Now let's compare those cases. Now it should be noted this is not a clear case for the 17 Pro Max. However, because I hate absolutely like that white like surface area that Apple built into that. This is also a tiny bit dirty, even though it's been cleaned. After like 4 years now, this is the 13 Pro Max case, but it's functionally identical to the 15 Pro Max case I have, and should be, at least in feel, identical to the 17 Pro Max case, except for Apple said that the buttons feel nicer, and that has always been my biggest complaint with the clear cases by Apple. And I'm actually not sure if that might transcend to this, which is the buttons here do not feel super well. Well, obviously I cannot click the buttons of a device through this because nothing will fit it perfectly. But this one is much softer. So if you see it here on the sides, it actually bends. This one does not. This one is hard plastic throughout. Not sure which one is necessarily better for durability. This one definitely seems like it will be nicer for button pressing because just the material gives in easier. If you look here, when I try to like press a button, right, there's nothing to give in. Even though this has the shape of buttons, right, they didn't do anything. They don't dent in or something like that. These ones, now they dent in, unfortunately, with the rest of the case. So this is definitely a cheaper construction than Apple's. Is it 2.5 to 3 times cheaper? Hell nah. So I fully understand why this is a popular thing. You also see, of course, the big plateau. As I mentioned, that plateau is actually going to be covering like the plateau, the plastic here. So I had made the argument in the previous point that, well, I was mainly basing this obviously on my tech woven case, which is because the plateau is so much bigger than before, you actually have more surface area of your phone than ever exposed while you're at least in an Apple case like this, right? But even more importantly, you're now not only exposing the camera portion here, right? That triangle, that square, I mean, that's what you get here, right? But you're actually exposing metal that's actually connecting to a vapor chamber, to other internal components for heat dissipation, right? And it's a much larger area. So while previously you were just getting some heat directly out from around the cameras, and it was glass, not the best material for heat dissipation in general, but now you're having double the surface area, more than that, because the cameras do not do heat dissipation pretty much at all. But all this area is now metal. So this one, in terms of its construction, is definitely going to be helping with cooling. Not sure about this plastic, how much it's gonna hurt heat dissipation. Obviously, this is not solid metal that will even further help with cooling, but that was always unlikely. That's not something you really demand of a protective case, certainly not from one for 17 to 20 euros. KSB asking, why does Apple ask to bring a government issues ID when I go for a pickup? They ask that, but they really don't always demand that. It's really just to make sure that it's you. Because technically somebody else could be logging into your account and showing like your invite. It could be even something like your evil twin, right? Which is who is able to like unlock your device through Face ID and everything. So there is a good argument to be made, at least for the very large purchases. Like if you come into an Apple store and you pick up a $2,000 iPhone 17 Pro Max with 2 terabytes of storage, honestly, I do not blame Apple here for like being extra careful before handing it to you, because they could be legally liable if they just hand it to everyone just because the barcode was okay. Somebody could really reasonably argue in court, you know what, you should have really applied more scrutiny to this. Now, when I went to the Apple store to pick up my tech woven case, I was not tested for ID, and I assume that just has to do with the pricing of this. It also just made sense, to be quite honest. Like those guys that I talked to, like we started talking about my channel, they looked me up. It probably was more referential than an actual government ID, but I just took mine with me. I mean, it doesn't hurt. I understand in some countries there are more problems associated with like government issued IDs, like not all countries by default just give you like a passport in that regard, or sometimes you might not want to carry one around for like safety reasons, maybe, or maybe you're like some kind of journalist. But you really should organize your life around to visit to the Apple store in that regard, right? Nobody's saying that the Apple store should be the one exception or anything. Thar is saying, I haven't ordered the iPhone 17 yet, but I'm thinking of getting it on September 20th. Well, I mean, you should really try to buy it on September 19th, so that's this Friday, because that's when it's going to go on sale, and that is going to make it more likely that you'll be able to get it. Just as a warning, I'm not trying to create like fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or like fear of missing out. No FUD, no FOMO on this channel. That's not how we operate. I mean, is it likely that the base iPhone 17 would still be available on Saturday right after it goes on sale? I'm not sure. I'll later get to a new story about the iPhone 17 series actually selling quite well. But then there's also the question, what iPhone 17 do you want? Even what kind of accessory do you want with it? I remember when I was actually driving with some friends to Berlin. That's before I started living in Berlin. Just to relax before we had like a big exam. And like this was actually the time when the Apple Watch started going on sale. And I hadn't either pre-ordered it or anything. And I was just seeing, oh, they apparently still have some models. And I was forcing my friend to drive like 20 miles an hour faster on the Autobahn just so I could get my Apple Watch. And what I ended up getting was like the silver color, the sport Apple Watch, which it was called back then, the base model, with like a blue case, with like a blue sports band. And that blue was really not my type of blue, right? It was very bright and everything. But that's what I could get. So, Thari, you're saying you're from Malaysia. I unfortunately do not have any experience with like Malaysia in terms of like Apple stores and overall availability. I don't know how many devices Apple ships there. But then there is a question, do you want 256 or 512 gigabytes? Which color do you want? Now, at least this year, you're not choosing between a base model and the Plus. I doubt that you're going in to buy an Air from what you're sounding like right now. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. If you can, try it on the 19th. If you absolutely cannot, try it on the 20th. Alternatively, just go to the website and look if you can order it for a pickup on the 20th. Because Apple reserves some stock to be later picked up, so or to be shipped. So keep that in mind. Keep your option, like just make sure you know about all of your options. KSB, do you think that Apple slows down performance and battery older iPhones when you want to? No, they absolutely do not. There's no code for this, right? Like, from all the analysis that people have done with iOS and everything like that, right? Like we find references to like new hardware that might be a year and a half or close to 2 years away, right? But sorry, my cousin is sending me images of my nieces and everything. I ordered them food. So if you're watching me, guten appetit. But yeah, I was just wondering why I had like 8 iMessages suddenly. No, we have never found any reference. In fact, when we found reference to Apple throttling down devices, for one, we found that was conditional. It had nothing to do with new hardware being out. It had everything to do with the battery being so degraded that it couldn't sustain the necessary voltage to actually give full power to the chip. So that was when battery gate and everything, throttle gate, whatever stupid name it had, even at this point, beyond bend gates and antenna gate, it's and scratch gates. When I think about the Slate iPhone 5, there's so much over the years where I think people either overreacted or at that point kept overreacting even after the problem was solved. Now, I think bandgate, for example, was completely overblown. I think that battery gate or throttle gate was entirely taken out of context. Like a lot of people actually started believing that Apple was throttling your device just for the heck of it, just to force you to buy a new one. They were completely leaving out the context about this was for devices where the battery was actually highly degraded. And then I think something like antenna gate for the iPhone 4, I think people were actually right to be angry about their new smartphone, which was otherwise very modern, a Retina display, an A4 chip, and things like that. Suddenly, it even had like this specifically designed antenna that actually promised you better performance. but now the antenna design was holding it back. And then Apple, of course, redesigned it by the iPhone 4S. They gave like bumpers to the iPhone 4 that helped with antenna performance. But yeah, overall, that was actually a problem. And that's what I try to cover on this channel, to like relatively nuanced. All these new problems that keep coming out, I'm sure there will be some problems for the 17 Pro, or I'm sure the Air, right, will throttle more, or will run hotter, or will have like very disappointing battery life, at least by the standards of like a Pro iPhone or something like that. I'm sure that will happen. I'm not sure if all of that will be handled as like a gate, and I'm not sure if all of that will leak into mainstream media, because that's what happened with Antenna Gate. That's what happened with Bandgate. That's what happened with battery/throttle gate. So no, I do not believe that's happening. But whenever Apple actually under-delivers or does not give enough care to older devices, because that's something that they could do, right? With iOS 26, all of these super elaborate animations, that more advanced transparency effect and everything like that, all of that stuff, Apple could be. It clearly isn't happening, because we see how performant iOS 26 even is like on iPhone 11s. But Apple could, in theory, make it really crappy on those older devices and encourage you to buy new ones. That would be kind of malicious, but it wouldn't be like directly malicious. It would be like indirectly malicious too. Third, I want to buy 17 Pro, any color, 256. How long can I normally use an iPhone 17 Pro without it slowing down? Well, to be honest, you can use it forever without it slowing down. It depends on what you use it for. Like if you're using it for demanding games, it will not perform as well as an iPhone 18 Pro or 19 Pro in more demanding games down the years. Maybe even iOS 30 create some new Apple Intelligence features that just notably eat more system resources, whether it's RAM and something like that. Maybe by that point, other Pro iPhones move to 16 gigabytes or something like that, while that one with 12 might struggle a little bit. It will be able to do that, but maybe just slower and running warmer or something like that. It's not the same as like an actual slowing down. It's just it not being competitive with newer hardware, which, I mean, that's kind of why new hardware exists. That's kind of why new hardware sells to begin with. Jasmine Amitovic, we don't even have the new charger here in Europe that is 40 watts to 60 watts that only work with iPhone 17, because the new USB 3.2 power delivery, 3.2 AVS2. I guess I'll wait for Anchor here in Sweden. Yeah, that is silly. My problem with that charger, to be honest, is not even like, oh, it's lack of availability. Maybe Apple can just work it out later on, right? I mean, it's stupid that like all these countries have different chargers and whatever, but whatever, right? My problem with this charger is Apple has a 35-watt dual-port charger, and my Anchor 3-port charger had its fastest USB-C port, so it's not a fully dynamic one, so it cannot give you full power across all its USB-C ports. It has one port that's like limited to 30 watts or something like that, so it's not really suited for charging my MacBook Pro, but it's more than okay for my iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch. Then it has a USB-A port that I don't really use because it's USB-A. But yes, my 100-watt charging port is broken. And that's an experience that I've had now with Anchor, that I now have had with Aukey, where they either fully stop working, or a part of them stops working, or they become unreliable. And that's like why I would actually want Apple to make more chargers, more accessories, even if it means paying a little bit more upfront. I mean, that's, again, what I've kind of been doing for the years. If Apple hadn't gone with the new stupid design with like the white cover on the clear cases, I would be holding now an Apple Clear Case for 3 times the money, and yes, with less functionality than this one. I probably should make sure I grab it correctly so I don't break it. I don't like that this case wobbles a little bit, like unlike the previous ones. Okay, so it disconnects like this. So that way it can stand on like this, but it can also apparently help even with like, can it stand in, oh yeah, it can actually do so. Let me actually show you this. It can actually stand like this, or like this. Yeah, oh my god, that's actually quite cool. I actually did not expect that to be the case. I guess I'm liking this case more and more. I did it just zoom in on me, or what? Look, guys, you'll be losing Big Mark for a second here. Video capture device, remove, yes, and add a new video capture device called Mark's iPhone camera. So that's the acting up of OBS that I've been trying to tell you about. I don't know if it's a problem from my iPhone 15 Pro Max. It didn't happen before, so I'll just leave it at that. I did not upgrade OBS, so that would be a reason to believe it's on the iPhone. But what OBS has now been doing for like the last 2 betas at the very least, so I really hope it gets updated. And that's also the problem. I'm not sure if maybe that's a problem that actually comes from macOS Tahoe. But yes, it's always tries to jump to the telephoto camera, which actually I am actually, once I'll be using my 17 Pro Max for video capture during my streams, I might actually be inclined to use it because it's a 4x zoom. So judging from where I am here, right, it would just really zoom into my face, create a nice bokeh depth of field behind me. But 5x, I would have to push my laptop too far away. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Jasmine saying, very well said, we need more charger that is Apple's license. And yeah, exactly. What I was trying to say about the charger is we need also dual and 3-port chargers from Apple. Apple is actually right now the company that's most aggressive about supporting the power delivery standards, right? You mentioned it's 3.2. I'm not sure which one is the latest. But when, for example, the MacBook Pro started supporting 140 watts, right? They actually made sure, it works across like the MagSafe port. It works across the USB-C ports, or at least 100 watts from it, and then later 140 watts. And that is something that I would just love to get. Like I would love to get like a 240 watts charger from Apple that can give you the full 240 watts. Maybe that's a charging capability they could give to the M5 Max MacBook Pro. That way it can charge super quickly while giving full power to the chip. Maybe even create a high power mode that gives you 10% more GPU performance in battery mode. That would kind of break the Apple Silicon streak of giving you same performance on battery as they do on as they do unplugged. That would still be worth it to me because it's not going to give you double or triple the performance as some Windows laptops do, where you are really required to sit down with a charger. Yeah, that's something that I really want. One thing that I've been looking into, and I'm saying this now because you mentioned Anchor 160 watts. So Anchor has new chargers out there. There's a bug on their website, by the way. They're charging 99,999 euros and 99 cents for this. That's a bug. Oh no, that's the 14-in-1. Where's the one with three? Yeah, that's this one. Can I not just go to the Anchor website? Anchor 160 watt 3 USB-C. Guys, you're writing quite a lot in the super chat, and we have double the people watching as we have likes. So please consider leaving a super chat. That way I'm guaranteed to read your message. And please consider leaving likes because that helps a lot with the algorithm, right? I don't want to be annoying, but it really helps. It also, again, helps me buy stuff for you guys to unbox, to experience with you together. So if you can find that in you, either one, one or both ways to support this, hit the like button. Doesn't hurt, definitely helps me. So again, I have no idea why Anchor, like, no matter like how English my Google settings are, it always wants to go to the German website, and it's something that's simply not available yet in Germany, and that is this charger. And this is the charger that I might get for myself. So I hate that they have this Power IQ branding. I would just prefer for them to talk about the power delivery standard that they support. But this is 3 USB-C chargers. I don't need more, but I also cannot really have less, because my current one had 2 USB-Cs. One of them is now broken, and the third port is USB-A, which it's gallium nitride, so it's compact, and it has this fun little gimmick where it actually shows you the charging speed. And it gives you 140 watts of charging, which is the max speed for a 16-inch MacBook Pro. So my 14-inch MacBook Pro wouldn't really benefit from it, but maybe down the road I might actually get a 16-inch MacBook Pro, or Apple gives 140 watts charging to future 14-inch MacBook Pros. Maybe at that point they'll take the 16-inch to like 200 watts or even a full 240 watts, which is supported in the power delivery standard. And this 140 watts is actually supported by every port, right? So it's actually quite cool in that regard. And yeah, it's European, but unfortunately it's not yet available. I might unbox it once I have it, if I get it. I even subscribe to like their premium subscription for a month, because a month was for free, and I'll see what kind of like discounts I get from this. They said like it's gonna be like 30% discounted on launch, so I'll probably pick it up at launch, but I'll keep you guys posted. Thar is saying, will they maintain this design for another 3 years or so? Probably for the basic Pros, yes. I'll give you some caveat, which is 2 years. So we are getting a foldable iPhone next year. That is most likely going to be more inspired by the iPhone Air than the iPhone Pro, right? Then in 2027, we are supposed to be getting a full redesign. But it's not really going to be a full redesign, because when you think about the iPhone 10, right, that launched 10 years after the original iPhone, that went full screen, that went OLED, that went with the notch and everything, there is not as much room for change. Now, when it comes to front design, we're actually getting some design changes even next year. Like I've covered in my last stream, for example, that the iPhone 18 Pro, Pro Max are actually supposed to be getting a smaller dynamic island. But again, this is a different part of the story. I actually think that this design, similar to how the iPhone X's design, when you just reduce it to like the notch, right? That one was actually stayed all along for quite a while. Sure, it was changed in some ways. Like the iPhone 12 obviously went with like that more squared off design we know today. The iPhone 11 Pro introduced that triangular camera bump on the back, and then later on, we obviously the iPhone 12 also introduced new materials and no, not new materials. Actually, it was still stainless steel. What was I thinking what the iPhone 12 introduced? I'm actually not sure. There's something in the back of my mind that was changed. It was the fact that the base models went OLED and stuff like that. And before that, we had something like the 10R and 11, which looked noticeably cheaper and worse than the Pro models. So I'm not sure how long exactly they would keep it, but I'm pretty sure you will be able to get a derivative of this design, because I'm like in years to come. Some people have talked about like an all glass iPhone. Given what Apple is now doing with that aluminum unibody design, I just don't believe it. I just think that Apple is gonna go all in with like like really good cooling, giving the plateau for all the space for good camera stuff on the Pros. They will need that to differentiate it from the base models, because the base models these days are now crazy good. They have 6.3-inch displays, they have thin bezels, they have the same dynamic island as the Pro models. They have pretty good cameras, 48 megapixels on both, not too small of a main sensor, the same ultra-wide sensor and optical system as the Pros. So Apple will need to have these advantages over the base model to actually to sell the Pro. So I think that this new design will stay with us for quite a while. Yasmin saying, that's the latest USB license. Apple is the first one in the world with that charger. Yeah, Apple has been really aggressive. KSB, I think people are buying more Orange phone. We don't know that, to be quite honest. I know a lot of people are basing this on because Orange slipped faster into delivery into like October than like the deep blue, which if you're looking, of course, at my tech woven case, I ordered deep blue and a case to match it. But part of that is that we don't know how much of each version Apple made. Maybe Apple didn't expect the cosmic orange to actually be a runaway success, and maybe they thought, going by prior generations, oh, blue is like more the subdued color. Blue is the color that's also gonna get all the people who usually buy black, right? Because don't forget, we don't have a space black or a cosmic black or even like a space gray in the lineup. We have basically silver/white plus deep blue plus cosmic orange. So I think that there is a chance that Apple might have just made so many deep blues because they thought, oh, that's gonna pick up all the titanium blue buyers from the 15 Pro Max. Oh, that's gonna pick up all the black buyers from the previous Pro generations. And they thought, oh, the cosmic orange, it's cool. It's our statement color, right? It's showing other people just how vibrant we can make an aluminum unibody design, because we have like aluminum anodizes much better than titanium and stuff like that, so we can make it a really vibrant color. So I don't know which one is more popular. And yeah, you're saying the case you ordered yesterday was out of stock now. That's always the risk, early on. Orange phone with green tech woven, basically Halo. Yeah, I saw the meme. It's basically like the Master Chief visor, right? Like because you'll then have the green around it, and then you'll have like the plateau, that orange plateau sticking out. Quite a cool look. Does the tech woven case fit your 15 Pro Max? It fits it in the sense that it literally slides inside, and in terms of width, they're actually quite comparable, but this is notably taller. So I mean, it's a tiny bit, but it's notable. I mean that literally. So it can slide around just a tiny bit, up and down, up and down. So that's why I actually couldn't really test the buttons for you. Plus, of course, there's one button I cannot test for you, which is camera control. Because yes, this and actually this one actually both boast that they're optimized for camera control. So this one should give you full like clicking functionality on camera control, and it actually still gives you all the slide functionality. Now I know a lot of people are not the biggest fans of camera control. I obviously have the 15 Pro Max, so I haven't had a phone with it yet, but every time I've used it, because my cousin, for example, has a 16 Pro Max, I've used it on a friend's device, I've always liked camera control. Now, do I admit that this might not be the perfect position? Sure, I think this is actually close to a perfect position. Now, I know some people make the argument, well, you're covering the cameras up there, but there's the bump. Plus, if you really hold it like that, it shouldn't really interfere too much. And again, now if you do it like this, now it's a good shutter button, but then again, now you're also in the position to actually click like just volume up and down. And in this position, I'll admit that actually just like sliding on it and stuff like that just doesn't work too well. Guys, we're about 2 minutes or left in the super chat goal. So if you want to find it in you just to support this channel so we can play around with more stuff live, consider leaving a super chat and keep hitting the like button if you haven't yet done so, just to help with the algorithm. That's about it for the unboxing. So these are now the 2 cases I have for my incoming 17 Pro Max. I should actually be getting it. I was just charged yesterday evening. I actually had a little bit of a scare story in that regard where my credit card was blocked yesterday quickly just for some stupid food order. Like they just didn't believe it that I was ordering food for another city or something like that, which I was ordering for my family just as a gift. And I had to call them, and what happened was I had to wait an hour in the fucking queue. And thankfully, I actually waited. I did not like postpone it until today or something like that, because Apple then booked my iPhone 17 Pro Max money 3 hours after that call. So if I hadn't done that call yesterday, my iPhone order would have either been canceled or Apple would have tried booking that money later, which at that point would have most likely delayed my iPhone order to some other day, which is definitely not what I would have liked. Both my AirPods Pro 3 and my iPhone 17 Pro Max, hopefully, if nothing goes wrong, I have a full free day on Friday, should be arriving on Friday. I'll do the bare minimum in setting up the iPhone just to make sure I'm not like doing way too much on the stream, killing my internet during it. Yeah. I will be definitely unboxing it. I'll definitely will be trying out the AirPods. And then down the road, my mom is getting my 15 Pro Max. I'll use the weekend to like take some comparison photos. I'll keep posting that on Discord. So if you're interested in just my content, whether it's on here or in Discord, you can do so. You can follow me over there. You can engage with the community. I'm sure some others over there will also get something from the iPhone 17 series, whether it's the base model or a Pro or an Air. I think you will find a lot to enjoy over there. That actually rhymed in the end. Yeah, that kind of concludes the unboxing part. Obviously, the most major thing that has happened today is we did get AirPods Pro 3 reviews. We actually have some major ones. We have one from MKBHD. The one that got a tiny bit of controversy is this one. It's from Dave2D, so I thought I might react to it first. And guys, don't forget, in like 12, 13 minutes, iOS 26 is going live, so you might hit the download button right while you watch me, depending on your internet speed. I also don't yet know if the final release is gonna be identical with the release candidate we got recently. I hope it's not. I hope Apple still did some bug fixing, some refining. I think especially iPadOS 26 needs a little bit more work. iOS 26, while it has been pretty bug-free for me on my 15 Pro Max, the one issue I have had is that it runs pretty hot when Wi-Fi connectivity gets a little bit slow. And Wi-Fi connectivity has been getting a little bit slow because I've had some issues either with my router or just my provider. And from all my devices, the iPhone is the one where I actually feel it. I think because of just the larger antennas of my MacBook and my iPad, they just handle it much better when the connectivity gets slow. They also, of course, have much larger chassis to dissipate heat. And during my streams, my MacBook is actually connected to Ethernet. So there is still some refinement, I think, for Apple to do on iOS 26, and I'll keep you guys posted. Like with some form of final review on iOS 26, and I think I'll actually review it from the perspective of both a 15 Pro Max and the 17 Pro Max owner down the line. But without further ado, let's actually look into what Dave has to say. I think I'll, as always, make him a tiny bit faster, maybe 1.15, and let's check it out.
Hype these so hard at their launch event, and for good reason, because these are legitimately awesome. So I got these in right after the event, popped them in, awesome ANC, awesome mics, really cool new tips that are much more comfortable, great battery life. There's so much stuff that's happening here that is just truly best in class or best in the market. However, there's one thing that bugged me the moment I put these in.
No, KSB, I don't actually have any problems with like my Ethernet or whatever. It's really just been like my Wi-Fi, which leads me to believe that, granted, it's not like I'm testing simultaneously Ethernet and Wi-Fi speeds like against each other. If my Mac reboots during a stream, it's much more likely to be an OBS or a macOS Tahoe issue than it is an internet issue, at least here in Berlin. Whenever I visit like my mom in another city and stuff like that, and I sometimes stream from there still, yeah, there is a chance that there I might actually like have not maybe full-on reboots, but like hiccups during the stream. But here it should be fine.
Testing them. It's that whenever I would listen to music and then pop in the old APP2s, AirPod Pro 2s, I preferred the sound from AirPod Pro 2.
So that's the controversial part, him preferring the sound. I'm actually not sure. Did Snazzy get early AirPods? Knowing Snazzy, he just doesn't do day one reviews anyway. Yeah, so no. At least right now, hopefully maybe during the week or sometime next week, he'll post something, but we do not have yet some audio review from Snazzy Labs.
So when I got home, I started doing some blind listening tests. I set them up in my bedroom. I was listening with my wife, and we both consistently preferred the sound from APP2.
Risky Business, Sia, Don't Listen to Bjork. Okay, out of these songs, I like only one, which is "Pray for Me" by The Weeknd. Great song from Black Panther, actually. I like Sia. It's just Snowman is definitely not my favorite song. I'll admit I have no idea who Rose or Epic High are. I'm vaguely familiar with Ellie Goulding. And I'm familiar with Risky Business, but I couldn't have actually told you like the artist's name.
And it
so
was
none of these songs would actually be like my go-to testing in that regard. It's interesting that Bjork, who has like a very unique style out of all of them, is the one where AirPods Pro 3 suddenly sound the best. My guess would have been that because AirPods Pro 3, for example, have a lot more bass, like something like The Weeknd and like Pray for Me would actually be like a good case for them. But then again, this is a small sample. There's also even maybe like a selection bias. Maybe his wife has like very similar taste for similar reasons. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I've like in the MKBHD review, he basically says that they sound better, as do most reviews, like The Verge and other outlets like that.
Every single track, but the vast majority of them. It was strange, and we've tried to trick each other. We would like try to pretend to switch buds, and like it was proper A/B testing. Now, if I had to describe why, it's that the sound of APP2 just sounded more natural. Like this sounded, maybe I'm just used to it, but it just sounded the way it should. But on APP3, it sounded like, I'm using words to describe audio here, but it sounded like the tracks were stretched artificially to give them like an artificial sense of like extra detail. And it just didn't sound the way that I felt like the music should. Now I took these devices and measured them with this ear tube apparatus. It's a very simple ear canal and ear drum simulator. And these are the measurements. So this is for AirPods Pro 2, and then this is for AirPods Pro 3. So a few things caught my eye on these plots. The APP3s, the new ones, have more sub bass. There's not a lot of music that actually goes down to
yeah, so people have pointed that out because they let in a lot more air, and something just about like the geometrical redesign of the AirPods Pro 3 just allows them to have more bass. Now, maybe the tuning isn't perfect. I'm not sure if he's also testing with adaptive EQ, this is one thing where I think that Apple should go a little bit more pro with AirPods Pro and let you more customize the equalizer. I wouldn't really use it. I prefer just the way all AirPods have sounded thus far in my ear. I've even liked how the power beat sounded in my ear, the old versions. So I'm not sure actually in that regard, but for all intents and purposes, like there is maybe some different tuning, which some people could prefer because some people were pretty unhappy with the tuning before. And maybe you're literally not used to just how intense the ANC is, because that's also a psychological factor for us humans. We actually don't like perfect silence. Even when we hear one noise, we usually like it in the context of other noises, right? When you're in the forest camping, right? You will not be calmed by perfect silence. You like some movement of the wind. You like how the wind moves through the grass and hits a tree and whatever, right? Maybe some distant water is rushing. Even if it's super silent, maybe it's under 30 decibels or something like that. But if you're in a perfect sound isolated room, like where nothing but yourself exists, where you can perfectly hear your breathing and everything, and it's perfectly reflected by the walls, because the walls are designed to keep everything out, so they also keep everything in. You will actually go insane in there. We in our monkey brains, we actually hate perfect noise cancellation in a way. Now, we do not have perfect noise cancellation on any piece of hardware, so it's not really a concern, but this could have been a part of the issue here in the testing.
Those frequencies, but if you listen to stuff that has really, really deep and low bass, the new APP3s do a better job at presenting that sound. But secondly, if you look at the bass on the APP3s, there's a dip there. And I've seen some earbuds do this to emphasize the sub bass more. Like when you carve out a little bit of that bass and remove it, that sub bass just pops out a little bit more. There's just more contrast because of that missing kind of middle area in that bass. And I'm not sure if that's why Apple did it, but I've definitely seen other brands do it to make the lower frequencies pop, and some people like that. There's also a blip or like a peak at 2.5 kilohertz that exists on APP3 that did not exist on APP2, and these were a little bit weird to me. I measured this multiple times and they're there on both the left and right buds. I'm not sure why. Now, these characteristics that I'm drawing your attention to, these are like the main things that stood out to me. But it's not that I'm saying this plot is bad or that APP3 is worse than APP2. It's not. It's just that it's not obviously better. Now, for me, APP2 had amazing sound.
So the only one that looks markedly better to me, where it doesn't look like it's an opinion, but it's the super highs. It's the beyond 10 kilohertz range. With the bass, I mean, it does clearly have more sub bass, but then it does, like, again, yeah, that's what he's covered. It's interesting because people say it has more bass. Wouldn't this be more than less bass in that regard? I'm actually quite fascinated by this one. It's interesting because from working with humans, I know how this supposed is to look like for like human auditory, like for like a good auditory system, but I'm not actually sure what a perfect curve is for something like that. And this looks like something that definitely could be tuned. This is just a differently opinionated AirPods Pro kit.
It's just that it's not obviously better. Now for me, APP2 had amazing sound, and I would put them at like a 9 out of 10. APP3, I put them at like 8.8, just slightly worse based on my personal preferences in sound. Now,
I'll also say, like, don't give him any hate for this. I know some people always like to, like, not necessarily even defend Apple. I've seen people defend Samsung. I've seen people defend Nvidia. I've even seen people defend, like, a Xbox or something like that. But it's just his opinion, and it's a different. It's an objectively different sound profile, and he prefers the last one, whether it's because he's used to it or whether it's because it's just more appealing to him. Objectively, in a very subjective way, we don't know, and maybe he'll do some follow-up either here or maybe just post something on Twitter and tell us how he likes them in a month or two or something like that.
The product is so much better. Like literally every other characteristic and every other feature of AP3 is amazing. So the first is the fit. These sit and fit differently in your ear than the previous generation. There's a protrusion that comes out a little bit from the earbud before it goes into your ear canal. So this sticks out.
So the current ones, they're perfectly flat. I actually don't have them near me. No, I don't. But it doesn't take much for you to imagine. Basically, this protrusion doesn't exist. You still have, like, obviously that speaker up front, but it's just on the height of where the white stem ends.
A couple of millimeters, but it makes the whole product stick away. Like when this thing rests in your ear, it actually rests a little bit further away from your ear than the previous APP2. So this is the old one, and when you take off the ear tip like that,
Oh, okay.
that little
I
protrusion.
didn't need to show you mine, which I actually just remembered. While I could show you, obviously, this part, I didn't yet clean my AirPods. And yes, during streams, I prefer to have my earpods in. I think they're amazing sound quality for $20. I would even prefer Apple just make some premium $50 version that still maintain this design, because I don't need ANC during my streams. Just make the sound really good, more bassy, whatever, and I'll actually use them a lot more, maybe even throughout my day, or at least during my streams.
Isn't there. So this just sits more flush to your head, or to your ear actually, and this wasn't as comfortable. I much prefer the fit and feel of the new one. The new ones are...
And this is exactly where Apple's expertise comes in, because when you think about even back to like these ones but Lightning, right, or these ones by 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, like Apple has been working on this design that's like designed to kind of fit all ears, because a lot of brands do this specifically with the tips actually, right? So they'll give you like foam tips that are extremely malleable, extremely formable in your ear, right? But then the shape of the actual bud is less important, right? Or maybe they'll give you some addition, like maybe like a little wing, or in the case of PowerBeats Pro, it's like the full hook, right? Just so they could still stay in your ear no matter what. Apple has been working on this shape for literally over a decade at this point, and they've been refining it. They've refined it by initially introducing it as like this wired shape. Then they've had a different version for AirPods. That's when we only had AirPods. Then AirPods Pro, basic AirPods like AirPods 3 and 4 and stuff like that. Now AirPods Pro with the third generation are also getting a further refinement. That to me makes kind of the perfect sense that does.
Fractionally heavier than the APP2, but the extra weight is completely imperceptible when you're wearing them.
Plus, it does go directly into the battery, so seemingly this shape allowed them to also use the internal space better, because they actually are having more stuff inside. Like they have the new sensor for heartbeats. They have this more vent space for more powerful bass and everything, and also even better transparency mode. So the fact that it's a tiny bit heavier, like 0.3 grams, it's like a less than 10% increase here. It's less than a 6% increase. KSB asking, did the update arrive? I might actually check it out on my iPad. It's also I am on the latest developer beta, so I'm not sure if I will get it. I would only get it if the actual build is different. So it doesn't show up on my iPad. I'd go to 95 Mac. It would be, but then again, it's just 2 minutes into 7 p.m. iPhone 7, no, it doesn't look like it yet. So probably in like the next 5 to 10 minutes. But I would also assume that the servers right now would be pretty overrun. Yeah, there's nothing yet on 95 Mac or Mac rumors.
Tips, so these have that new foam infused silicone tips. They come with 5 tip sizes now. There's now an extra small at the smallest end, which actually fits the ear canal of my 6-year-old. Not that I would ever get a pair of $250 earbuds for my 6-year-old, but I feel like that's what they're aiming for like the younger audience, for these things to fit for them. I don't find AirPods Pro to be uncomfortable. I just find APP3 to be a little bit better for long-term wear. But
that's something that I'm really looking forward to, because to be honest, I love the feel of AirPods Pro 2 in my ear, which is very surprising because I've never been a big fan of like silicone ear tips or foam ear tips. No matter what, I just don't like ear tips beyond just like the raw shape. But obviously, because of all the extra functionality of AirPods Pro 2, I went with AirPods Pro 2 back in the day. I am very happy that seemingly it's even more comfortable, despite having better ANC, better transparency, better bass, a longer battery life. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'll clean my own AirPods Pro 2 by the time my AirPods Pro 3 should arrive, and then I'll just let you know how it fares.
didn't stay in my ear all that well when playing sports, I'd still want the hooks from Powerbeats 2 for that. Now in terms of active noise cancellation, these are crazy powerful. Like APP2 was already amazing with ANC. These just take it.
This is also something that what MKBHD is confirming, and basically every outlet I could find, and the summaries that you'll find on like Mac Rumors and stuff like that. Yeah, very seemingly there is definitely like really close to double ANC, which is insane in just a year. Okay, what did I? Ricardo 177 new iOS right now? Seemingly not yet, but we'll have to see. Jonathan leaving a €2.49 super chat. I'm not sure why it's not being counted against the goal, because you're even saying it. Have a great stream. This is for the new goal. I'm not sure why the goal isn't updated, because I did set it to be like at $2 and above, or like €2 and above. If it's not, then forget the goal. Just thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much for joining in. I know you're very busy. We've even talked a little bit in the background, so thank you so much for that. Yeah, but let's continue.
To another level. They're awesome. So we can use the little ear tube to simulate what it sounds like fairly accurately.
Okay, this sounds. I know. I don't want to sound like I am now advertising for Apple, but this to me sounds beyond double. This sounds more like triple. There is also a question how much of this is actual active noise cancellation and how much of it might be passive. Can I not leave you like a love for this? This is so weird what super chats are doing. I'm not understanding it right now. KSP saying timer expires so it does not count toward the goal. Oh, thank you so much. I guess I'll know for the future. I thought it restarted afterwards, but yeah, I should have just set a timer for 2 hours, which is about the time I plan on streaming. I don't know. I think I clicked accidentally on 45 minutes, even though I wanted to click on an hour. But yeah, thank you for Jonathan for sponsoring the stream. Thank you for KSB for informing me. Oh, I'm sorry. This was. I'll have to listen back.
EarTube to
Okay, so this is transparency. Now, granted, transparency is not actually designed to be like the neutral one. The neutral one is actually like the one in the middle, right? It's or not in the middle. It's the off version, right? You get transparency, you get adaptive, which basically switches between these three, maybe even tunes them a little bit, and then noise cancellation. So transparency and noise cancellation, yeah, that's a huge difference. I thought he was switching between the different buds. I'm sorry. I didn't see it on there. I was responding to a message. Okay, transparency mode seems even clearer, which is good. And noise cancellation is an even lower floor. Yeah, that's crazy good.
I don't know if it's double the ANC like they claim, but this has very effective active noise cancellation. And it's three things that are contributing to this. First are the foam-infused seals. These do a better job than before. Secondly, it's the computation around that ANC. But third is the microphones. The mics on AirPods Pro 3 are excellent. I'm using them right now to record this, so you're gonna get a sense of what they sound like. They're obviously great for like taking a call or whatever, but if you had to use some kind of microphone in a pinch for recording yourself or some kind of like content creation,
that sounds pretty good. I'm not sure if my AirPods Pro 2 sound that good.
They're totally usable if you have nothing else. Now, in terms of like noise cancellation of background sounds, they're not great. This is like a hairdryer here.
Did you put it on noise isolation for background sounds? Because those are different modes in Control Center.
You can still hear a lot of that hairdryer over this. So it's not great for like killing the environmental sound, but when you compare it to the mics on AirPods Pro 2, these sound noticeably worse.
Yeah, man, really? On the same H2 chip? Wait, how did Apple do that?
And with these excellent mics, you also get a top tier transparency mode. This sounds so natural on APP3. It almost sounds like you don't even have earbuds.
Which already happens to me on APP2. Just the idea that it's now even clearer and everything, that's insane to me.
Like the voices that come through, they just sound remarkably similar to just an actual voice. The listening mode is off right now.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it seems like iOS 26, iPadOS 26, macOS 26 seems like they're all becoming available. And I'm even checking on my iPad if this is because I will not be suggesting the update if it's the same build. So if you find me being more distracted by my iPad than usual, it's because seemingly. Okay, no. It says beta updates are off. Okay, so the release candidate build is most likely the same build as the official version, at least on iPadOS. At least if iPadOS 26 is even being pushed out right now. That's a tiny bit disappointing. I had hoped we would be getting some kind of new build for a little bit more stability, a few more bug fixes. Kisby, can you tell me what macOS version are you on? I just got 15.7 weirdly. Yeah, 15.7 is going to be basically for people who do not want Tahoe. So we're also getting iOS 18.7, iPadOS 18.7. So basically the previous big release, but now, so you'll have to manually choose between macOS Tahoe, if your Mac supports that, of course, or 15.7. 15.7, all these 0.7 releases, sometimes it's a 0.8 release, they're designed for people who do not want to jump to the latest release, but still need the latest security patches, need the latest stable version for a good app compatibility and stuff like that. So basically, if your device is really mission critical, really work critical and stuff like that, you might want to keep it on something like 18.7 or 15.7, depending on which device and which OS we're talking about.
Transparency mode, it opens up and my voice does come through in a pretty natural tone. There's also the new live translation function. It's currently in beta.
And currently not available in the European Union because of I'm not sure if there are actual regulations preventing Apple Intelligence from offering this feature, or it's just Apple giving the middle finger to the European Union for all these silly regulations. But in the continent that has way more different languages than like North America, we are not getting this feature. This is crazy.
But this works on device. It doesn't send anything to the cloud. You do need to download the language pack that you want to translate in advance. Once you do...
So this is also why I think that Apple gave iPhone 17 double the base storage. It's not specifically just live translation. I think it's that more and more Apple Intelligence stuff, whether it's language packs, whether it's individual large language models, maybe some will be exclusively available through a separate download, like Google's 100x Super Res Zoom stuff, right? Or ProRes Zoom, or whatever stupid name they gave it to make it more similar sounding to Apple's tech. And that's a different rant, unfortunately. But basically 256 gigabytes. It's not gonna be filled up just by Apple Intelligence, not even close. But if for more Apple Intelligence, you're just going to need more and more storage over time, let's say even a full 20 gigabytes, right? Right now it's like 7 gigabytes, maybe plus, maybe closer to 10 if you install the languages you need. This is a rough estimation. Don't take that as perfect information, but so Apple basically, they could have gone all the way and they could have given the basic iPhone 17 also 12 gigabytes of RAM, but at that point it would be so close to perfect that even I would really start having trouble recommending the Pro models over the base model. So we need to update to 18.7 in order to migrate to iOS 26. No, you don't. 18.7 exists as an alternative to iOS 26. You should have an option to choose between them. Now, I cannot show you on any of my devices because all of my devices are already running some version of 26. But when you go into settings, maybe it's not going to show up right now, but it should show you different options, right? It should show you maybe right on top, it will show you iOS 18.7 or macOS 15.7, and down below it will have like an information page, like here is iOS 26, here's macOS 26, and then you click that and you click enable downloading that. Now that's of course if your Mac supports it.
It seems to work really well with those one-on-one conversations.
For something really very cheap, it's going to be a bit of a challenge, especially for my $3. But I can try to find a really economical option.
There is a little bit of a delay in that translation.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of always the joke with like Star Trek's Universal Translator. Some languages do not have the same sentence. Well, most languages do not have the same sentence structure as English. So it's actually impossible to translate completely live. Like one person says one word and you instantly hear it. That makes no sense, because if in the actual translated sentence, like object and subject are actually in different spots, then you need to listen to the sentence to actually understand which is which and how to now start the new translated sentence. So that latency, I'm not sure if there's a latency on top of that. I'm sure there is some just from the computational impact, but this latency is just part of the translation process. Even the best translators in the world, like United Nations level translators who like translate for world leaders, they will wait a second or two before they start translate the sentence that had been started.
Waiting for the speaker to finish its sentence to kind of capture the proper context, but I found it plenty fast enough, and just the conversation flow wasn't broken because
should
of
also
that
be
delay.
noted, and I'm sure he'll note that too, this feature is not exclusive to AirPods Pro 3, so these features are rolling out to AirPods Pro 2, and I believe Beats devices with H2 chips, though I'm not sure about that. Maybe not yet.
I found it very useful. It is, though, coming to other devices. So APP2 and AirPods 4 are getting it down the line. But I do wonder how much the mic quality...
Oh, okay. Not Beats devices. Not sure why I thought that, but that's good to know. That's why I listen to these guys. I'll have to check out maybe, and we'll keep checking out in the future what Apple is saying about compatibility of these features. I'm sure that devices with H2 chip would be able to handle it, but we'll see.
Will have an effect on how good that live translation experience will be, because these have really good mics. There's a heart rate sensor now on AirPods Pro 3 that work in a very similar fashion to what we saw on the Powerbeats Pro 2 a little while back, and these are very accurate. From all the testing I've done, like, it's surprising that something that's situated in your ear canal can just capture a good
Oh, to be honest, we rely on Apple Watches, but this is a horrible place to measure your heart rate. It's also not a good place for ECG, though ECG is electrical. It's not gonna be really hindered by hair or something like that. Though electrodes don't like being covered up in general, just from what I know from my usage of ECGs. Yeah, I'm not surprised that this works well. The skin here is actually pretty soft, and I don't mean like the outside, I mean like even where it's facing. So yeah, should work pretty well. Really, I don't think Apple would actually be doing this if they don't saw an actual benefit. Plus, it's it's not an expensive feature. I'm pretty sure that the sensor and everything probably comes out to like $5 for Apple, just because of mass orders, maybe 10 at the absolute max, to be honest. And I really would go with the lower prediction, but it's a good starting point to convince somebody, oh, you like these health features in your AirPods? Because I know a lot of people even have like they even have AirPods despite having Android devices. So that would be like a good way. Oh, your AirPods work well with Android? Well, consider buying your iPhone. Or you already have an iPhone? Do you like the health feature on APP3? Well, guess what? How many extra feature like an Apple Watch Series 11 or an Apple Watch Ultra 3 can have, especially with ECG on top, with all the hiking stuff, with some independence from the iPhone, now that they have like 64 gigs of storage and things like that. Yeah, there's plenty going on here that there are some smart moves by Apple.
Great, but it works. You do need to have this near your phone and or watch to be able to capture it. You can't just do a workout or run on these without your watch or phone nearby and like hope that it
Yeah. That data has to go somewhere, because I assume, like, even if there is a storage in here, like the way that Apple probably doesn't want to keep like health data on here. I'm not sure if the H2 has any kind of like big security mechanism. So yeah, it makes sense. Just translate the data right away to your phone or your watch. Have much faster processors actually process it. Reduce the battery strain on your AirPods, and yeah, makes sense. Gamer Live 4568, is iPhone 17 coming to Pakistan? I mean, it's probably easier for you to check that than for me. I mean, I can Apple Pakistan. Like, I'm not sure if they're like, after the situation of Nepal, I'm just trying to not make prediction. applepakistan.com/pk. Why is it not just apple.pk? But it looks like the iPhone 17 Pro is right on the website. So yeah, why not? Like, but the website is really slow for some reason. Apple is committed to me about government requests for customer data about Pakistan. Apple man. I'm not sure. I mean, I'll guess you'll have to check it out also yourself a little bit. KSP saying, I'll be back. My devices will reboot soon for the update. That's fine. I fully understand that. You were on no beta before that? That's actually quite interesting.
over later. You have to have your phone or your watch nearby and it'll work. It does feel a little redundant, but if you
and seemingly like the release candidate is the same as the final release. My iPad does not show me any way to update, and they even hit like developer beta. And I guess if I hit off, then I will be. Wait. If I hit off, will I actually be like? Cannot hide this part, otherwise I would show you guys my screen. Oh no, I actually can download iPadOS 26. But I'm not sure if it's a different release. I will have to check out after the video on like 95 Mac
or don't want to wear a watch, this will do it. But it only works with certain workouts in the fitness app right now. Now, in terms of battery life, the APP3 claimed 8 hours with ANC on, which is up from the 6 hours of APP2 from a few years back. From my testing, I only did one rundown. I got almost 9 hours of battery life with APP3. This is with volume at like 40.
Yeah, and that's also part of better ANC, right? I mean, I'm sure the better ANC runs your battery down harder, but better ANC will also allow to just run at lower volume, which in these scenarios, you might actually have gotten even better. Like, if you're fine with 7 out of 16 volume on AirPods Pro 2, you might have been actually able to reduce volume to like 5 or at least 6 out of 16, or hell, maybe 4 on AirPods Pro 3, and then gotten you like a nice 9-hour release, 9-hour battery life.
50%, so I didn't crank it, but it's a very long-lasting device. Now, the case doesn't hold as much. This is a 24-hour total battery with like the recharge from the case. This was 30. Now, just anecdotally, this is now a 3-year-old product for me. I got this very close to when it launched. This barely gets 4 hours of battery at this point. It originally was 6 hours. I did the testing years ago, but it's now just over 4 hours. So degradation is very real. 6 hours. I did the testing years ago. This barely gets 4 hours of battery.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. Guys, by the way, if you know, type also in the Discord, because I am interested if we are talking new release or release candidate re-release, basically, because I am on developer betas right now. Obviously, I want to know if I need to install a public release, because I still want to stay actually on developer betas. Though I'm pretty sure we will pretty soon get like iOS 26.0.1 or something like that. Yeah, here it's degraded. I'm not surprised. I did notice some degradation on my AirPods Pro 2 as well, but not as much. Not from 6 to 4 hours. Maybe from 6 to like 5 hours. Maybe 4 hours, like 45 minutes or something like that.
At this point, it originally was 6 hours. I did the testing years ago, but it's now just over 4 hours. So degradation is very real on these things. I said the batteries are tiny, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just degrade aggressively. Now, price-wise, these are relatively expensive on the wireless earbud market. These cost $250.
Not anymore, really. I mean, you have to consider, like, especially now, I would argue AirPods Pro 2, in terms of like overall functionality, are still better than the vast majority of like other devices. Maybe they don't have the best sound anymore or the best ANC versus individual solutions, and we'll get to MKBHD's review where he does make certain comparisons. But as an overall package, I would still put them way over Samsung's latest Galaxy Buds. In comfort, I would definitely put them over the Sony's, and in like overall feature set, they're way better than the Bose. And these are kind of the most major competitors. Like, sure, if you go with like free buds and something like that, I believe this is like an Anchor sub-brand or something like that, you'll get things for a lot cheaper, but you're just not getting the same experience.
The thing is, you can get pretty good sounding ones for like $150. Like the Nothing ears are significant.
Yeah, nah, sorry, no. Yeah, if you just focus on them not sounding like crap, I understand, but there are, like, at that point, you should then compare these more like to AirPods non-Pro, right?
Cheaper than these. You get a ton of really impressive features with APP3, but it comes at a price.
I mean, but then at that point, you should compare it more to APP2, which are widely available for like $160 to $170. And they are better in basically every way, except for maybe overall battery life. But then you get, well, you kind of can tune it at that point versus the Nothing phones, Nothing buds. No. You'll not find a friend in me, Nothing here.
Now, here's my take on this. I think a lot of people buy Apple's AirPods Pros exclusively for just the audio experience. And the question I think a lot of people have is, if they already own an APP2, should they get the APP3? And my take on it is this. If what you use it for is just listening to music and you already are completely satisfied with the very powerful ANC of APP2, I don't see like why.
Riley is saying in the Discord that it looks like a new release. I'm neither confirming nor denying that, just saying that I can download it on my iPad, but then again, you can sometimes basically re-download the same version just for like a restore. Just to be on the new public release. So not confirming or denying it, but seems like we might be working with a new release and not just a real release of the release candidate build.
If that's what you're using it for, just listening to music. But if you like all the crazy features that APP3 has, particularly if it involves the microphone, because it's just got a kick-ass microphone system, then yeah, there's literally nothing else on the market that does it as good as this product. It's really good.
And that's actually the most interesting part of his review, because I did not actually listen to his review before this, so no pre-watch here, but I did listen to at least like 60-70% of MKBHD's review, and so far in it, there was no notable portion on microphones, so either it comes at the very end and I missed it, or it might just so happen that he really didn't focus that much on microphones beyond like a throwaway line. Yeah, Riley, I know it shows a separate iOS 26 tab on the bottom, but that's because for a lot of people, it's now recommending like iOS 18.7 or macOS 15.7. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily has anything to do with this being a different build, or it's just trying to like differentiate between the different releases that are currently out there.
In terms of the audio, I thought APP2 was actually a little bit better. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope I saved a few people $250.
No, you didn't. I promise you, anybody who was really gung-ho about buying APP3 was not stopped by a review that said, oh, it's actually close to double the ANC of APP2. Oh, it has the best microphones on the market. Oh, the live translation feature is actually fantastic. Oh, the battery life over a potentially similarly degraded APP2 is like double or more. Yeah, I promise you a lot of people will just buy APP3 just because they're dealing with 3 or 2-year-old APP2s with degraded batteries. Yeah, No, you most likely didn't save anyone $250, which is not bad. You might have saved people just like push them to another product, maybe a cheaper APP2. So at that point, you have saved them potentially like $80 or even $100. Or maybe you push them to the nothing phones. At that point, you might have saved them like $100, $120. But I hope that didn't happen. Riley saying, let's see, RC release candidate is 23A340. Yeah. Let me know what the number is on the final release. And let's go check out Marquez in the meantime.
Okay, so this is actually the same thing that happened to me
I'll just
with
go
the last
to full
generation.
1.2, just so
September,
we can go through
it's really
this
busy.
a little bit faster.
I didn't really think I
I'll
was
probably not pause him as much as I did Dave, because we've already gotten a lot of info from Dave, and I do want to wrap this up like before the 2-hour marker. So
gonna review these. There's lots of other stuff I got to get to, but just like last time, Apple sent me their latest AirPods Pros, and the first thing I did this time with them was get on a plane and fly with them. And now I got to show you these new headphones. These are AirPods Pro 3. They look physically almost the same as AirPods Pro 2, but there's actually a host of new things here. And the thing is, I'm not normally an earbuds person, and I'm certainly not.
yeah, so this is also like a perspective of different minds. I mean, it's similar to what we've done with all the cases. Basically, a lot of it comes down to personal preference. Even the sound profile, as we just saw in Dave 2D's video. But the other point is also, sometimes you might just like a different form factor. It's like, for some people, a Pro Max iPhone just out of hand size, right, might be completely unacceptable. For some people with extremely large hand, a super small smartphone might actually feel super artificial. So some people prefer over ears, some people prefer on ears, some people prefer in ears, some people prefer in ears with silicone tips, some prefer it with foam tips, some prefer it with no tips at all. People said his review was bad. Are we talking about Dave or Marquez now? KSB, my MacBook Pro M2 does not show the update. I'm on 15.7. I would show you the settings app, but I cannot. It shows my full name in the bottom, unfortunately. But you should be able to do it. Otherwise, just shut it off and turn it back on or something like that. But the release is down below, right? It's in the lower portion. It's not in the same spot where you'll see the release of 15.7.
Typically wear my headphones all day, every day type of person, like so many are. But with all the improvements that they've stacked up in this third generation, I get it. I totally get it. And I think there are a lot of...
And they're doing this still with the H2 chip, which could be insane for next year, because if the I assume that the design for AirPods Pro 4 or 3.5 with like air gestures is going to stay the same. So the main change will be those air gestures with a new sensor, an infrared sensor basically, and the H3 chip. And by that point, I assume the H3 chip will be on some version of 3 nanometer, will be more efficient. It might be paired with Bluetooth 6, which Apple might just want to put it on their own custom technology, similar to how N1 is their first in-house Wi-Fi 7 and the very first time they use Bluetooth 6 at all, right? So I could see why some of that might not have been ready for AirPods Pro 3, but because the new design, the new speakers and everything, the new vent system, the new tip design already allows for so much new stuff, they didn't decide to wait for a year until H3 chip was ready, until Wi-Fi 6 was custom Apple ready. They just put out AirPods Pro 3 and did quite a big update for
things in here specific.
For such a seemingly small release. Like if we judge the release by the processor, this is an incredibly small release. But if we think about what we actually got, plus better battery life, that's actually quite a huge release.
Specifically made for that type of person. But first of all, they still sound really good. This was one of the first things I was impressed with the last gen, and I even did some back-to-back listening, and I think these sound even a little bit better. There's more strong bass and low end, while still keeping, a totally full mid-range and crisp, bright highs, and very little high-volume distortion, and they do seem to get even louder too. And there's a couple reasons behind this sound improvement. If you look very carefully, you'll notice the vents are actually slightly bigger, and the interior is redesigned to allow for more airflow, so I'm betting that's where a bit of that better bass response comes from. But then also the ear tips go into your ears at a slightly different angle, which you can tell if you look at the second gen right next to this third gen.
He didn't fully clean his case either. I kind of respect that.
And the new ear tips are also bolstered with a little bit of foam inside.
Which, this is such a crazy shape in that regard, but when you think about how your ear is actually shaped in that way, and you have this angle from the stem because you do want them to just point forward, so not fully down, so that way it's easy to slide on that volume up, volume down, and Siri button and everything. Hopefully I didn't activate my HomePod right now. And then you do have this shape that's just designed to hug your internal ear, not actually your internal ear, but what is the English word? I actually don't know. So just the shape of your ear, and then this actually goes into your ear canal. So, and it has to have this almost it's actually over 90 degrees. It's 110 degrees or something like that from an angle. So this is a shape that Apple has been perfecting, as I said, for well over a decade.
And so they're not fully foam ear tips, they're still silicon, but you kind of get the best of both worlds now. The foam ear tips that you might see on some IEMs, you kind of compress them and then let them expand in your ear. It's this really nice seal and a great fit, but not great for everyday use outside. So this has some of those benefits. In the tip, they have some foam that kind of molds to the inside of your ear. It's a little bit firmer, and it does fit a little better, so it's a better seal. And I gotta say, this new combo...
I triggered your voice assistant on your iPad. That actually happens a lot. I don't know. I should actually just deactivate it on my iPad. I did deactivate it on my iPhone because I don't need it on device that I hold close to me, where I'll just push the power button, press the power button. But yeah, obviously I cannot deactivate it on my HomePod, or it kind of defeats the purpose of the device. But I would love to have go into streamer mode and deactivate voice assistant during this.
Of the new ear tips, which there's also now a double extra small size, by the way, so there's 5 ear tip sizes.
Yeah,
But the new ear tips plus the new angle that they go into your ear makes these the first AirPods that have ever stayed in my ears. It's been years and generations of AirPods that have always slightly wiggled out over time, but these actually stay. And that's a game changer for me. Now, I still give the nod to the PowerBeats Pro for working.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously as an athlete in that regard, right? That design has more benefits beyond just how AirPods stay in the ear. This basically has a guarantee to stay in the ear, but having owned a similar product before, I know this is just less comfortable. But then again, this is something you probably only wear during a 2-3 hour workout or something like that. Then you transition to your over ears or your AirPods Pros or something like that, or preferably none at all, just so you can maybe give your ear a little bit time to relax.
Now, just because that piece that goes around your ear for the extra bit of security when you're running or jumping or moving around.
I hate this color. Kind of looks good on him, but I don't know. This color doesn't connect. This color definitely will, though, connect with people who buy the 17 Pro and Pro Max and Cosmic Orange.
A lot. That can't be beat. But for the everyday walking around headphones, these are incredible. They've also added IP57 dust and water resistance for the first time. So they were IPX4 before, which meant they could take a splash or a sprinkle or go out in the rain, but now they are protected against a little bit of dust, and they can fully survive being submerged underwater. So that's better for heavy rain, better for spills especially, and even better for a ton of sweat.
Jesus. Yeah, you shouldn't still use them in the pool. Not that it would even be a really good experience, because the water would just really, really fuck that up. But if you drop them in the pool for a millisecond and just instantly fish them out, there was already a chance of your AirPods Pro 2 surviving it, but now basically Apple is telling you that you have a guarantee for it to survive it, as long as it doesn't reach like a certain deep depth or stays in the water for a certain time. Maybe it's not as perfect for like salt water as versus like chlorinated water. That will remain to be tested. It's obviously not as crazy as like the IP68 certification on the iPhone that even goes above and beyond the IP68 promises, or at least real world results show that it outperformed IP68 promises.
If you somehow sweat so much that AirPods couldn't handle it before, they can now handle it. And it turns out this case is also IP57 rated as well, which is nice, but that does actually mean it's a new case. And so the more you look at this new case, the more you'll notice there's a bunch of other little small differences here as well. Like it's a tiny bit thicker and taller because of the new shape of the buds. And then also the cutout for the pairing/battery indicator light is now gone, but the light's still there. It's just behind the plastic now and quite a bit brighter. Clean. And also, just like AirPods 4, the pairing button is gone from the back. So pro tip, if you do need to manually pair these to a non-Apple device for some reason, like a computer or an Android phone, you have to open the case and double tap the front to put them in pairing mode. Then there's also a next generation ultra wideband chip in the case, which means you can do precision finding from 50%.
This is the first time we're seeing the U2 chip in that regard. This is something that's, of course, that will be coming to AirTag 2, will improve range and other features, will probably improve reliability. So this is the one chip upgrade that AirPods Pro 2 are getting from U1 to U2. H2 stays the same, no H3. I'm still checking for you guys about the release of iOS 26. Seems like now all major operating systems are live. watchOS, tvOS, visionOS. So if you are interested in getting the full new experience, that's now your way to get it. Sorry, I have to check it out. KSB. Jimmy James in our Discord is saying the same thing as you said, which is that he's being shown 15.7 for Tahoe, but not actual Tahoe, not actual macOS 26. So you're not alone, brother. Maybe actually like restart your Mac. Or maybe you'll have to wait for some server-side change on Apple's part. Thank you, Jimmy, for that in the Discord. Guys, if you're watching and you're enjoying this, I left the Discord link right in the beginning of the live chat. So it's really a great place to interact with other people from the community, getting help, providing your own experiences. I couldn't do what I do now without the Discord. Previously, I relied a lot on Twitter, but then Twitter made me kind of go a little bit mad. So now it's Discord. It's very curated. It's very Apple focused, but not Apple only. We do cover other tech on there. So if you're enjoying this content, I'm very sure you're also going to enjoy my Discord.
Further away, which is extremely convenient. Honestly, might still be an underrated feature. The old buds don't fit in the new case, and the new buds don't fit in the old case, by the way, just in case you were wondering.
Case.
And then there's also some articles about how these don't seem to come with a charging cable. And that's true.
True.
I unboxed them. Sure enough, there was no USB Type-C cable.
So many USB-C to C cables, especially cables that are USB 2 and cables that like this was going to charge at what? At 5 watts, at 7.5 watts? Yeah, I don't need cables for that.
In that box. But also, neither do AirPods 4. And I think, to be honest, like most other headphones come with a charging cable. But I think Apple is assuming, probably fairly, that if you're buying the new AirPods, which suck to use with any non-Apple device, then you 99.9% most likely already have an iPhone from the past 3 years. And they're
also they will not suck if you use them with an Android device, and Android devices even going way back longer than 3 years like on iPhone will be on USB-C. And of course, if you also have iPads, tablets in home, laptops, any kind of really somewhat modern accessory or product will have come with some form of USB-C cable. Obviously, like your MacBook will have come also with like a MagSafe charger if it's somewhat recent, but that's not really the only device you're likely to use with your AirPods.
Therefore, already have a USB Type-C charger, or you already have an Apple Watch, which it can also use that charger. Or you already have some MagSafe puck somewhere that
True.
you can also use. They're probably right. But also the battery life is actually longer
And
on
thankfully, they did not remove the magnets here, which is a huge, huge deal to me.
these too. So they'll do 8 hours with noise cancellation, up from 6. So you can ignore your coworkers for an entire uninterrupted 9 to 5. And then transparency mode or hearing aid functionality will do up to 10 hours now from the previous 6. The slide in the keynote that rose my eyebrow the most when I saw it, when they introduced this a few days ago, was world's best active noise cancellation of any in-ear wireless headphones. No asterisk, no fine print, no weird comparisons
just
or
a
anything.
lot of
just
confidence,
all
yeah.
gas, no brakes. Big claim. Now Apple says a lot of things. Things like the iPhone 16 Pro has studio quality microphones.
Which I'm sure relative to the size of the microphone is true. Like just the microphones you use in the studio just are physically incomparable. Like even something that you like connect to like your shirt or something like that, they're still bigger than like those tiny microphones, especially ones that are further away. Usually if you use a tiny microphone, you try to put it as close to you as possible. Like think about like a gaming headset where you literally can put the mic right in front of your mouth and be like the proper neck, beard, mouth breather there. It's not a criticism. I like that actually because I think that just shows you're fucking logged in, right? It's crucial for the task at hand. Whereas for something like the MacBook studio quality mics, it more refers to the fact that they have like studio quality like noise cancellation relative for their size, and it's all relative for their size, and it's relative to the fact that you instead of using like one big solution, you're using several small ones in tandem. KSP saying, can you suggest A to C cable? Planning to charge my Pro Max with the 5-watt adapter overnight. I don't really need to suggest one because A to C cables are really, really common. They're really cheap as well. But like if you want something that's like really official, Apple's Beats brand, right? Which don't forget, Apple owns Beats by Dre. They do make USB-C cables, I believe, both with A and C2C. So they are not that the cheapest solution, but if you want something that's at least somewhat Apple official, that's otherwise just go with Amazon Basics. At that point, you might, especially for something that only charges at like 5 watts, and you're suggesting to use it with what I assume is going to be like that old 5-watt adapter, which I have like half a dozen somewhere hidden still. Yeah, you're fine with basically any A to C, even a kind of like any A to like wireless charger, right? Because this will obviously charge also on the wireless charger. Also any A to Apple Watch charging brick, right? So if you have some old solution, don't forget about that. You can actually charge it also on an Apple Watch puck.
If that's obviously not totally true or that's greatly exaggerated for marketing purposes. But this one's interesting. So the way they're quantifying it is they're saying it cancels twice as much noise as the last gen, which were already really good. Matter of fact, if you go and watch that 2022 keynote, when they introduced the AirPods Pro 2, they said that those were twice as powerful as the first gen.
And this
AirPods
is why
Pro.
this
Now,
one
these
is
do have the
supposedly
same
4
H2
times
chip
more
as the previous
powerful
generation,
ANC.
so it's not the chip, but the new ear tips with foam, the new angle that they go into your ears, and the bigger vents, and probably some
It
more.
should be noted that a lot of these features are not actually A and C, they're kind of P and C, so they're passive noise cancellation. So the active part of noise cancellation is actually anti-noise. It's a sound based on analyzing external sounds that roughly is the exact opposite in terms of frequency. So it will actually silently create that, so it when it clashes with the outside noise, you'll actually like you'll actually not hear what's happening outside. Now, good ANC does not really work without good passive noise cancellation. So that's literally the process of like stuffing your ears with something that will prevent you from hearing something from the outside world. Because in that case, and that's something that you see on AirPods 4, because they do not have silicon ear tips, they will need to have a much more aggressive anti-noise. In that case, you will actually start hearing that anti-noise, especially if like your background sounds are a little bit less predictable, then they are not just perfect counterparts between noise and anti-noise. You'll literally hear both at that point, right? Until anti-noise adjusts quickly to the outside noise. Might even be just a split second because of how quick H2 chip analyzes those things, but it's still a consideration. Here, the main improvements are with something like PNC through those foam-filled silicon tips, right? They still feel like silicon, but they do have these benefits of better noise cancellation, in this case, more passive noise cancellation through the foam material. I heard some time ago the USB-C port on iPhones is different from Android and would damage the battery, so worried about the cable choice. No, that's completely fake. Some Android devices have what is called pass-through charging. So that means if you charge your phone, it actually bypasses the battery, therefore does not actually use up battery cycles and just gives that power to the chip and something like that. Some Android devices have that. I'm not actually sure. Apple never advertises this as a feature for iPhone. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't have it. Then there are differences in like iPhones actually, like iPhone Pros have some of the fastest USB 3 speeds actually. Like they have 10 gigabits per second. Most Android flagships are actually at 5 gigabits per second. Then there are charging speed differences, but usually iPhones are just very regular, in fact, very highly standards complying power delivery adapted USB-C ports. So don't worry about that.
Improved software tuning, all combine to give you much better, allegedly 2 times noise cancellation from the previous. And yeah, the ANC is pretty incredible in these. With my music at basically half volume, I already hear nothing but my music. Now in this studio environment where, there's some voices, maybe occasional louder noises, one really loud mechanical keyboard, and a few dog barks, like that's pretty easy. I'm locked in, I'm only hearing my music. But I also took a flight with these, like I said, and the white noise of the airplane just dropped down. It was almost completely erased, not totally to zero, but more than enough to fully immerse in whatever media I want to and actually enjoy the improved audio quality, which is saying something. And these, of course, still have other features: transparency mode, adaptive EQ, conversational awareness is here. I'm very happy with this ANC. I went and compared them back to back with the Bose QC.
So this is the one thing that I was kind of missing from Dave's review, and that's something where obviously Marquez is like one of the biggest tech. Like I hate how these look. I know it's like these sound like, I don't know, like some part of the Alien, like from Alien. Like I don't like this. This looks like it's looking at me creepy.
Ultra 2. Which I found less comfortable.
And you can see that it does not just do the same job of like respecting the shape of your ears. Like you will have, when you click on this and everything, it will just be around your ear right away, right? It will be somewhere here. Well, AirPods notably put like the controls away from your actual ear canal, so you don't hurt yourself or it doesn't feel that much. Previously, there was some stupidity with AirPods. I'm not gonna dispute that with tapping and everything, but the fact that these are like high-end solutions by like one of the best established audio brands in the world in 2025, that's a little bit sad. Like, just visually, these are, like, I like how the Sonys look. I know the Sonys are not super comfortable, but I like how they look. I hate how the Bose look. Now, this case probably is going to give you quite a lot of extra charges, but then at that point, you can also kind of carry around an extra charger, which could, like an extra battery pack, which could charge your phone and your watch and your AirPods.
And don't seal in my ear as well, and they also don't cancel as much sound. The Sony WF-1000 XM5s.
Yeah, I like this design, at least like how it looks to the outside world. I've tried them out exactly once. I can tell you nothing about their audio quality beyond it being good. They did feel a little bit hard in my ear. So unlike that, the silicon tips on my AirPods Pro 2, and they felt noticeably heavier, even though I know they literally aren't, but the way they're balanced, something about it, it was not bad. Like the Bose to me just looked bad. Here I had some nitpicky complaints.
Sound really good, but the fit and noise cancellation also aren't as strong. And these Galaxy Buds 3 Pro are very comfortable and I think even look better. But
And I think that's just something he says because of the different color solutions, because these are just AirPods clones. These would be laughed at by they are getting laughed at by a lot of people, but if you ask people, does this look like a Chinese knockoff or AirPods? Like even with the extra LEDs and everything, just some extra bullshit, people would just say yes.
Don't sound as good or cancel as much background noise. These have been pretty excellent for me. Still no lossless audio to anything not called Vision Pro, but this is about as good as I've heard wireless earbuds sound.
Which also kind of underscores the point a lot of people in the community have been making year after year after year. Wireless earbuds, like buds especially, we're not talking over ears, do not need lossless. It consumes more battery life and everything. It just doesn't. It will eat. I'm not trying to be negative on lossless, but most people probably cannot even hear it. And to be quite honest, even the best earbuds probably are not going to have the actual hardware in the next few years to actually give you a sound quality that's deserving of being fed by lossless data. That's different when we're talking over ears. There are even some earbud solutions that are super premium, but then they are usually wired solutions. So yeah, I don't think wireless earbuds need lossless, at least for the next, maybe AirPods Pro 5 or something like that.
Now, speaking of workout headphones, these also have a new feature. And it's this little window over here in the back of them.
Yeah, I think that this is about how far I've watched the video last time. So unless he mentions microphones more beyond transparency mode, then I'm very glad I actually watched Dave 2D's video, because he talked actually a lot and gave us pretty good listening samples of the mic quality.
Heart rate monitor. So AirPods Pro 3 can measure your heart rate while working out. I consider this a nice to have, the same way it was in the past.
Oh, is that where the sensor? I thought that this might be the sensor, but this could be the skin sensor. No, it wouldn't make sense for this to be the sensor, because that one is getting covered by silicon. So the sensors would still be here, a skin sensor and a heart rate sensor. KSP saying, just got the update on my Mac. Well, go over to Discord and let Jimmy know, because he is having a bad experience
AirPods
apparently.
Pro. What's nice is it's well integrated in the Apple Fitness app, so even if other earbuds integrate heart rate sensors,
Jesus
not sure they'll be
Christ,
able to
I haven't
plug in
had the
Apple Fitness
3,000
app, so
calorie
even
day
if other
for
earbuds
quite some time. Not until I lost 60 pounds after graduating from high school.
heart rate sensors, not sure they'll be able to plug into this ecosystem as nicely to count your calories and keep your rings closed. Classic. But it's nice for people who don't have Apple Watches. So if you do have an Apple Watch and you wear it at the same time and work out, apparently it's using its own algorithms and software to decide which is the better source to take that data from, because at no point does the app tell you or let you choose where it's getting your heart rate.
Good. That absolutely, that would just confuse people. I know, enthusiasts always like to say, well, I want to know. Nah, not really.
Great. Apple also introduced live translation alongside AirPods Pro 3. It's not exclusive to these.
My perfect way of doing that is if AirPods Pro 3 don't entirely shut off their heart rate sensor, but maybe every 2 or 3 minutes, it just once updates and sees if it matches up with your Apple Watch, just to make sure that both of them are well tuned, that none of them are sitting poorly on your body. And based on that, it could maybe even inform you, oh, your Apple Watch is a little loose or your AirPods are a little loose. That actually would be cool.
I want you to think, so I won't spend too much time on it in this review, but it is powered by Apple Intelligence, and it does require you download each individual language offline before using it, so everything works offline without internet connection. So
Yay,
that's cool.
I have a 1 terabyte iPhone coming in. Hopefully that's enough.
And I'm starting to think this is the perfect year to do a big comparison just on all these live translate features, because it seems like 2025 is the year of live translation. There's a bunch
Samsung has announced, I think Samsung was already doing something, and Google too, so yeah.
different versions of it, and I kind of want to see which one's best. Is it a phone app, or is it phone plus headphones, or will it be smart glasses with AI, or will it be a pin?
No.
It won't be a pin.
Okay.
But this really feels like the year
I like
live translation actually finally became possible. But overall, okay, better fit, better sound, better ANC, IP rating now, better battery life, all for the same price. I get it. People who wear AirPods all day are going to love these things.
Oh, KSP, thank you so much. You're switching devices one after the other to stay connected to the stream. That means a lot. I'm glad you're enjoying the content. You're new to the community, but already so highly engaged here and on Discord. Thank you so much. Guys, speaking of engagement, we're almost 2 hours into the stream, almost finished with the MKBHD video. You guys saw Jonathan, donate some money. You can do that same over super chats and super stickers. You can also become a channel member right here on YouTube. You can become a supporter over on Patreon, or just go to our Discord to engage with our community, especially now that iOS 26 is dropping. I'm pretty sure you're going to get a lot of impressions by a lot of people in there. So thank you so much. Of course, just liking the video, share it out with anybody who might enjoy it, commenting, and of course subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification bell. All of that helps too. If you don't have money to give, that's absolutely fine. If you do, even better. So thank you so much already in advance.
People who sometimes wear AirPods
Thank you,
are also
KSP,
going to
saying you
love
love my content and the community. That means actually a lot to me.
these things. Honestly, the only reason they're not about to become my new dailies is because I still prefer over-ear headphones. So I mostly
that's the same thing that we've discussed with personal preference when it comes to the audio profile in Dave 2D's video, right? Where he prefers just the audio profile of AirPods Pro 2. Marquez just prefers the fit and feel of over-ears. That's absolutely valid.
use my Sonys for traveling and listening to music and watching movies. Anytime I'm on a plane, I have these. And then when I work out, it's back to dedicated workout headphones, which for me are still the Power Beats. But if you want one pair of headphones to do everything, or if you're on the fence, like, these really don't have any weaknesses if you're an iPhone user. Well played, Apple. Well played. Now, fun fact, the original AirPods were announced 3,295 days ago, and they still look like this.
Yes, and that's what I'm talking about. This is form over function, function over form, actually. No, sorry. This is perfect because this means that Apple actually had a clear idea. Now, could they offer different colors? Sure. But the feel of it, just the fact that it's a very soft case, that it is very balanced in how tall and wide it is versus how thick it is, so it doesn't protrude from too many jeans. It might even fit into like the small pocket inside your jeans, right? The pocket in your pocket. These are so well made, and Apple has just continuously refined them. This is what actual confidence in your products look like. Not what Samsung is doing with Galaxy Buds. Remember the Galaxy Buds Live, those bean-shaped ones, which I actually really liked. I was actually complimenting Samsung when those came out. I was saying, look, they actually have something very different from Apple. And now I'm not going to criticize them for coming up with something similar to AirPods, because I do believe AirPods are close to perfect, but I do believe that they just in the end ended up copying AirPods. I don't think they came to the conclusion that it's the best solution. Obviously, that's not Samsung's MO. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put out the Galaxy Watch Ultra in the ugliest shape imaginable. With that complete mismatch of a squared off body and a circular screen on top. Ugh.
It's gotten way, way better, but all these generations later, they still go with this small, white, glossy dental floss case. So, channel sponsor dbrand.
Nope. No. This looks worse. This looks way too serious. It looks way too literally edgy. Nah, no thanks. And that's about it almost for today's stream. I guess we can check if their Apple says installing iOS 26 might impact battery life. Small impact on performance and battery life. So I guess for some people that will be enough to justify like iOS 26 gate or liquid glass gate. But yes, it is more demanding. It's not really highly perceivably so, but it is. AirPods Pro 2 and AirPods Pro 4 get iOS 26 feature with a new firmware update. That's nice. Obviously, again, it depends on if you've already been using betas. Apple delays iOS 26 new US passport feature. Okay, doesn't really impact me. And iOS, iPadOS 26 did come out, of course, but also simultaneously we did get iOS and iPadOS 18.7 and 16.7.12 and 15.8.5. Yes, these are some devices that are still locked to iOS 15 that Apple is still updating. So if you're ever like bedazzled by like certain Android companies promising you a certain number of years, but Apple doesn't promise you those years, well, that's because Apple doesn't need to. They just do. Okay, so a lot of design stuff, of course, like liquid glass and everything. iOS 26 will come with liquid metal. Yeah, that will be the one time where Apple actually implements liquid metal outside of the SIM card tray. Remember those old rumors about like sapphire iPhones and liquid metal designs? It's funny that we are kind of back to aluminum unibody. And even sapphire is not even like their go-to material on even like the camera lenses because it has certain downsides. Okay, macOS Tahoe is also out. So yeah, get over there, go to your settings app, check it out. It's seemingly available across all devices, so I might actually have to update my HomePod because I think that's the one device that doesn't have it. But that should be it about for today's stream. I can so just some small news. This is according to Min-Chi Kuo. Demand for iPhone 17 models is looking quite good. Obviously, alongside iOS 26, some of the features that are associated with it are launching, like the new hypertension notifications. And yes, obviously, we reacted to Dave and Marquez, but there are other reviews. You can check some summaries over on Mac Rumors and 9to5 Mac, or just go to the websites you already trust. It's taking forever for the update to download. Well, I highly assume that the servers right now are pretty loaded, so overloaded. So don't be too disappointed if it takes up until the night. There's a reason why Apple has like these kinds of like update options for it to install once like night comes in and shit like that. So guys, it's been over 2 hours. Thank you so much. I actually had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining the stream. We've also had in the last few times we've had a lot of people joining the Discord. We've had some people give money. So that all of this helps. However way you want to support me and this channel and this community, consider doing so. I've already listed up multiple ways to do so. Not gonna bother you again. Just gonna say thank you. So much. KSB saying he's the number one today without super chat. Shows how much I'm blabbering in the chat. That's okay. Usually Riley's our number one yapper. He is number 3 today. And Jonathan should now be number 2, I assume, because of the super chat. So thank you guys so much. Whether you're babbling or yapping or super chatting, it's all very much appreciated. Beyond that, I'll catch you live once iPhone reviews are out. Probably on Wednesday is my prediction. I assume tomorrow we're gonna get Apple Watch reviews. I'm not sure if I'll actually be able to live stream that, but I'll probably write at least something about it on the Discord. So go over there. Yeah, but then I'll react to the iPhone reviews, and then I'll do an unboxing on Friday. Hopefully on Friday, hopefully everything goes correct for my iPhone, for my incoming iPhone 17 Pro Max, for my incoming AirPods Pro 3, giving you first impressions. Then I promise daily streams afterwards, but I'm actually busy on Saturday. I'm meeting with a good friend, so I might stream on Sunday, my first 48-hour impressions. And then throughout the next week, we'll probably give smaller updates. We'll probably get videos by people like Geekervan, who also reviewed the A19 and A19 Pro chips. So that will be interesting to us. So expect a lot of content. For that, subscribe, hit the notification bell, just so you're informed. Of course, once again, shout out to Discord. This is where people learn first when the next stream goes live. So hopefully that encourages you to go over there as well. And beyond all that, I already promised content. Let me know what else you would like to see me cover next. And I'll see you then. Thank you so much again. This is Mark Tech. tuning out.